The vast emptiness of space stretched before Captain Jack Morris as he stood on the bridge of the UEDF Defiant. Stars twinkled like distant diamonds against the black canvas of the universe. Jack ran his hand through his short brown hair, a habit he'd developed during his 15 years of service with the United Earth Defense Force. "Captain, we're picking up unusual readings at the edge of the solar system," said Dr. Kevin Powell, his fingers dancing across the holographic display. The chief science officer pushed his glasses up his nose, his eyes never leaving the data streams. "Define unusual, Doctor," Jack replied, walking over to Powell's station. "Multiple objects, sir. Large ones. Moving in formation." Kevin's voice dropped. "They're not ours." The bridge fell silent. Humanity had only recently developed faster-than-light travel. The 5 vessels of Earth's deep space fleet represented the pinnacle of human achievement. The Defiant, as flagship, led this small but proud armada. No one had expected to find anyone else so close to home. Commander Lisa Wright, the ship's executive officer, joined them at the science station. Her tactical mind immediately went to work. "How many objects are we talking about, Doctor?" "Hundreds, maybe thousands," Kevin whispered. Jack straightened his uniform. "Communications, open a channel to the other ships. Battle formation Delta. Lieutenant Taylor, prepare first contact protocols." Lieutenant Samantha Taylor nodded, her red hair bobbing with the movement. As the ship's communications officer and top linguist, she had trained for this moment her entire career. "Sir," she said, "should I notify Earth Command?" "Not yet. Let's see what we're dealing with first." The 5 human ships moved into defensive positions. Beside the Defiant were the Valiant, Courage, Intrepid, and Guardian. Each ship was roughly the same size, about 300 meters in length, shaped like arrowheads with smooth, dark gray hulls. To most spacefaring races, they would appear primitive, even quaint. "Captain," Kevin called out, "the objects are changing course. They're heading straight for us." "Time to intercept?" 30 minutes at current speeds," Jack nodded. "Lieutenant Taylor, broadcast first contact greeting package on all frequencies." "Broadcasting now, sir." The bridge crew waited in tense silence. Minutes ticked by with no response. "Sir," Samantha finally said, "we're receiving a transmission. Audio and visual. On screen." The main view screen flickered to life, revealing a reptilian face with scales the color of burnished copper. Yellow eyes with vertical pupils stared out at them. The alien wore what appeared to be a military uniform adorned with various insignia. "This is Captain Jack Morris of the United Earth Defense Force vessel Defiant. We come in peace and wish to establish friendly relations." The alien's mouth stretched into what might have been a smile, revealing rows of sharp teeth. "I am Supreme Commander Vex Corps of the Zarkonian Empire. You have the honor of being the newest species to join our dominion." Jack kept his expression neutral. "We're not looking to join any dominion, Commander. We're explorers seeking peaceful contact with other intelligent species." Vex Corps laughed, a harsh, grating sound. "Peace is for the strong to bestow upon the weak human, and you are very, very weak." The camera pulled back, revealing a massive bridge filled with other Zarkonians at various stations. "Our armada consists of over 3,000 warships, each one capable of reducing your pathetic planets to ash." Images appeared on the screen showing the Zarkonian fleet. Massive warships stretched as far as the eye could see, each one bristling with weapons. "How many vessels comprise your fleet?" Vex Corps asked mockingly. "As you can see, we have 5 ships currently in this sector," Jack replied carefully. The Zarkonian command bridge erupted in laughter. "5 ships? You face the might of the Zarkonian Empire with 5 ships?" Vex Corps could barely contain his amusement. "We have conquered 37 star systems, subjugated hundreds of worlds. And you stand against us with 5 vessels?" Commander Wright moved closer to Jack, speaking softly. "They're underestimating us, sir? That could work to our advantage." Jack nodded slightly. "Supreme Commander, perhaps we could arrange a diplomatic meeting to discuss." "There is nothing to discuss," Vex Corps interrupted. "You have 2 of your Earth days to surrender, unconditionally. After that, we will destroy your pitiful fleet and then move on to your homeworld." The transmission cut off abruptly. Well, Jack said dryly, that could have gone better. Lisa Wright was already moving to the tactical station. Sir, requesting permission to begin defense preparations. Granted, but keep it subtle. I don't want them to see anything that might make them reconsider their opinion of us. Dr. Powell looked up from his station. Captain, I've been analyzing the energy readings from their ships. Something doesn't add up. Explain. Their technology is advanced, yes, but not as advanced as they want us to believe. They're putting out a lot of power, but it's inefficient, almost wasteful. Jack raised an eyebrow. Are you saying they're less dangerous than they appear? No, they're still extremely dangerous, but they're relying on brute force rather than sophistication. It's like comparing a sledgehammer to a scalpel. Lieutenant Taylor called from her station. Captain, I'm receiving an encrypted transmission from Earth Command. Priority Alpha. In my ready room, Jack ordered, moving quickly off the bridge. Once inside the small office adjacent to the bridge, Jack activated his secure terminal. The stern face of Admiral Nancy Garcia appeared on the screen. Captain Morris, report. Jack quickly summarized the encounter with the Zarkonians and their ultimatum. The Admiral's expression remained impassive, but Jack noticed a slight twitch at the corner of her mouth. And they believe we only have 5 ships? Yes, ma'am. They seemed quite amused by that fact. Good. For the first time, a small smile appeared on Garcia's face. Captain, you are hereby authorized to initiate Protocol Omega. Jack felt his heart rate increase. Protocol Omega was something discussed only in whispers among the highest ranks of the UEDF. He had been briefed on it when he took command of the Defiant, but never expected to actually implement it. Admiral, are you certain? Once we activate Omega, there's no going back. The Zarkonians have left us no choice, Captain. They've conquered dozens of worlds, enslaved billions. Intelligence suggests Earth has been their target for some time. They were always going to attack regardless of our first contact. Jack nodded grimly. Understood, Admiral. When should we initiate? Let them think they have the upper hand for now. Wait until just before their deadline expires. Then show them what humanity is truly capable of. Yes, ma'am. And Jack, the Admiral added, her expression softening slightly. Good luck. Earth Command out. The screen went dark, leaving Jack alone with his thoughts. He took a deep breath before returning to the bridge. Orders, sir? Commander Wright asked as he resumed his position. Begin preparations for Protocol Omega, quietly, and send the coded signal to the other ships. Lisa's eyes widened. Omega, sir? Are you sure? Those are our orders. The Zarkonians think we're primitives with a tiny fleet. Let's let them keep thinking that, for now. As the human ships continued their seemingly random movements, the Zarkonian fleet watched with amused contempt. Little did they know that each maneuver was precisely calculated, each position carefully planned. Dr. Powell approached the captain again. Sir, I've been monitoring the Zarkonian communications we've intercepted. They're talking about us, laughing. Jack nodded. Good. Let them laugh, Doctor. He looked out at the stars and the barely visible shapes of the massive alien armada beyond. They won't be laughing for long. The 5 ships of humanity's tiny fleet continued their dance against the backdrop of space, a deadly ballet that would soon reveal its true purpose. And deep within the Defiant, systems that had never been activated began to hum to life. Admiral Nancy Garcia stood in the central command chamber of the UEDF headquarters, deep beneath the lunar surface. Massive screens displayed the positions of both the human ships and the Zarkonian armada. Her silver-streaked black hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and her weathered face showed the strain of command. How much time until the deadline? She asked. General Peter Williams checked his display. 26 hours, Admiral. Captain Morris has positioned our ships exactly as planned. And the Zarkonians? Still watching and waiting. Their scans continue, to bounce off our hulls without penetrating. Admiral Garcia nodded. Good. It's time to brief the rest of the command staff on Protocol Omega. She pressed a button on her console. Dr. Miller to command, please. Minutes later, a thin man with wild gray hair and bright blue eyes rushed into the room. Dr. Allen. Miller carried several data tablets and looked as if he hadn't slept in days. "Is it time?" he asked eagerly. "Are we finally going to use it?" "Yes, Doctor. Please explain to General Williams what we're about to unleash." Dr. Miller set up his display and began. 50 years ago, we found something in Antarctica. Something that wasn't from Earth. The screen showed images of a massive excavation deep in the ice. Workers swarmed around a dark metallic object. A ship, Miller continued, crashed there thousands of years ago. The technology was beyond anything we could imagine. But we learned. We adapted. We improved. General Williams leaned forward. "What does this have to do with our current 5-ship fleet?" Miller smiled. "Everything." He tapped his tablet and the display changed to show the internal schematics of the Defiant. What the Zarkonians see is just the shell. What's inside is humanity's greatest secret. Back on the Defiant, Captain Jack Morris called his senior officers to the ship's conference room. Commander Lisa Wright, Dr. Kevin Powell, and Lieutenant Samantha Taylor took their seats around the table. "It's time you all knew the full truth about this ship," Jack said. "Computer, display Omega schematics, authorization Morris Alpha 79. The table's surface lit up, projecting a 3-dimensional image of the Defiant. Then the image began to change. The ship's hull seemed to unfold like a flower blooming, revealing complex structures hidden inside. "What are we looking at, Captain?" Lisa asked, her eyes wide. "The real Defiant," Jack replied. "What the Zarkonians see is just the travel configuration. Each of our 5 ships contains technology reverse-engineered from an alien vessel found in Antarctica 50 years ago." Kevin adjusted his glasses. "That explains the strange energy readings I've been detecting from our own systems." "Each ship has different capabilities," Jack continued. "The Defiant houses a quantum phase shifting system. We can become partially intangible, allowing enemy weapons to pass through us." "That's impossible," Kevin whispered. "The Valiant contains a drone swarm deployment system. Thousands of combat drones, each the size of a coffee cup but armed with weapons that can cut through Zarkonian shields." Lisa leaned forward. "And the other ships?" "The Courage has gravity manipulation weapons. The Intrepid houses an AI combat system far beyond anything the Zarkonians have. And the Guardian has self-replicating repair systems. If damaged, it can heal itself." Samantha shook her head in disbelief. "Why keep this secret? Why let the galaxy think we're weak?" "Because appearing weak is the best defense," came a new voice. The officers turned to see a hologram of Admiral Garcia materializing at the end of the table. "For centuries, humanity fought itself," the Admiral explained. "Nations rising and falling, always competing, always at war. When we found the ship in Antarctica, we realized we weren't alone in the universe, and not everyone out there would be friendly. So we created a false image," Jack added. 5 simple ships. A species just taking its first steps into the galaxy. Not worth conquering, not a threat worth eliminating. "And it worked," Garcia continued, "until the Zarkonians found us. They're conquerors. They were always going to attack. So now we show them what humanity is truly capable of." On the bridge of the Zarkonian command ship, Supreme Commander Vexcor watched the human vessels with growing suspicion. "They're too calm," he said to Chief Science Officer Zulthar. "No species faces extinction with such composure." Zulthar's scales shifted color slightly, a sign of concern among Zarkonians. "Our scans still cannot penetrate their hulls, Commander. There is something unusual about their technology. They have 5 ships against our 3,000, Vexcor snapped. What could they possibly do?" "I'm not certain, but look at these energy readings." Zulthar displayed a chart. "Their power output is much higher than vessels of that size should produce, and it's increasing." Back on the lunar base, Dr. Miller led Admiral Garcia and General Williams through a secure door into a small, dimly lit room. A single pedestal stood in the center, holding what looked like a piece of black metal, with strange symbols. "This is the key component we recovered," Miller explained. "We call it the core. It taught us how to build the systems in our ships." "Taught you?" Williams asked. What do you mean? It communicates. Not with words, but with knowledge, images, understanding. Miller touched the surface of the core, gently. We didn't just reverse engineer alien technology, General. The technology wanted us to understand it. Admiral Garcia placed her hand on the core as well. We believe it was left for us to find. A gift from someone out there who wanted humanity to survive what was coming. The Zarkonians? Perhaps. Garcia looked troubled. Or perhaps something worse. On the Defiant, Lieutenant Eric Johnson, the ship's pilot, ran simulations of the coming battle. His fingers moved with incredible speed across the controls, his eyes focused intensely on the display. Johnson is our best, Jack explained to Lisa as they watched him work. He's part of why Omega will succeed. His neural implants let him control multiple systems simultaneously. Neural implants? Lisa asked. When did we develop those? Another gift from the core, Jack said quietly. Limited to key personnel for now. Johnson can essentially become one with the ship. Eric turned and smiled. And when I do, there's not a Zarkonian ship that can outmaneuver us. The countdown to the Zarkonian deadline continued. 18 hours. 12. 6. Jack returned to his ready room and opened a small compartment hidden in the wall. Inside was a simple metal disc, about the size of his palm. He placed it against his temple, and it adhered to his skin. Neural interface. Activated, the ship's computer announced. Welcome, Captain Morris. Jack's perception suddenly expanded. He could feel the Defiant around him, as if the ship were an extension of his own body. He sensed the other 4 vessels nearby, connected through quantum entanglement communications that the Zarkonians couldn't detect or block. Captain to all UEDF ships, he said, his voice calm and steady. Prepare for Protocol Omega. Phase 1 begins in 30 minutes. As the human deadline approached its final hour, the 5 ships moved into a pentagonal formation. To the watching Zarkonians, it seemed like a last, desperate attempt to create a defensive position. How pathetic, Vexcor laughed. They think that formation will save them. But Zolthar wasn't laughing. His instruments were detecting massive energy buildup in the human vessels, energy unlike anything they had encountered before. Commander, he said urgently, I think we should. Before he could finish, a brilliant light erupted from the 5 human ships. They began to change, panels sliding open, structures unfolding, hidden systems activating. What is happening? Vexicor demanded. Zolthar stared at his readings in disbelief. The humans, they tricked us. The transformation continued, each human ship growing, expanding, revealing weapons and systems that had been concealed inside their seemingly primitive hulls. The tiny fleet was tiny no more, and the doom of the Zarkonian Empire had begun. Supreme Commander Vexicor stood frozen in shock as he watched the human vessels transform. What had been 5 modest ships now expanded into massive battle platforms. Panels shifted, weapons emerged, and hidden compartments opened to reveal swarms of smaller craft. Impossible, he whispered. Chief Science Officer Zulthar frantically analyzed the data flowing across his screens. The human ships. They're changing configuration. Power levels are increasing exponentially. How? Vexcor demanded. How could they hide such technology? Advanced camouflage systems, dimensional folding, technologies we've only theorized about. Zulthar's scales paled with fear. Commander, these aren't primitive vessels. They're beyond anything we possess. On the bridge of the Defiant, Captain Jack Morris felt the ship's systems through his neural interface. The transformation was proceeding perfectly. What had been a 300-meter vessel was now expanding to nearly 2 kilometers in length, with weapon systems deploying along its hull. Status report, he ordered calmly. Phase 1 of Protocol Omega complete, Captain. Commander Lisa Wright reported. All ships successfully transformed. Weapon systems online. Dr. Kevin Powell looked up from his station. The Zarkonians are scanning us with everything they've got. They're trying to understand what happened. Jack smiled. Let's give them something else to think about. Lieutenant Johnson, attack pattern Alpha. Aye, sir. Eric's hands danced across the controls, his neural implants allowing him to guide the ship with barely a thought. The Defiant surged forward, moving with an agility that seemed impossible for a vessel of its size. Two Zarkonian cruisers tried to intercept it, opening fire with energy weapons. But as the beams reached the human ship, they passed harmlessly through its hull. "Quantum phase shifting engaged," Jack announced. "Dr. Powell, analyze their weapon signatures and adjust our shields accordingly." "Already on it, Captain." Aboard the UEDF vessel Valiant, Captain Susan Carter gave the order they had all been waiting for. "Deploy the swarm." Hatches opened along the Valiant's hull, releasing thousands of small metallic objects. Each drone was about the size of a human fist, but contained advanced weapons and propulsion systems. They moved in perfect coordination like a school of fish, forming complex patterns as they approached the Zarkonian fleet. "Drones approaching enemy vessels," Susan reported to Jack through their quantum-linked communication system, "targeting their propulsion and weapons first." The swarm engulfed the nearest Zarkonian battleship. Tiny energy beams cut through shields designed to stop much larger weapons. The drones moved too quickly for the Zarkonians' targeting systems, which had never been designed to track objects so small and agile. Supreme Commander Vexicor watched in growing horror as one of his mighty battleships went dark, its engines and weapons disabled by the human drone swarm. "Launch fighters," he ordered. "All of them." Thousands of Zarkonian fighter craft poured out of the larger vessels, moving to intercept the human drones. But they were met by smaller craft launched from the Intrepid, piloted not by humans but by advanced AI systems. Commander Paul Martinez watched from his tactical station aboard the Defiant as the AI fighters engaged the enemy. "The AIs are predicting Zarkonian maneuvers before they execute them," he reported. "They're calculating flight paths and attack strategies faster than any organic pilot could." Jack nodded. "And now it's time for the Courage to show what it can do. Captain Ben Howard, you're up." Aboard the Courage, Captain Ben Howard activated the gravity manipulation systems, targeting the center of their formation. Gravitational distortion field activating now. A ripple seemed to pass through space itself as the Courage fired its main weapon. 20 Zarkonian ships suddenly found themselves caught in a localized gravity well, being pulled inexorably toward each other. "What is happening?" Vexicor demanded as his flagship shuddered. "They're manipulating gravity itself," Zulthar replied, his voice tinged with awe and terror. "Our ships can't break free." The trapped Zarkonian vessels collided with each other, hulls crumpling under the immense forces. None were destroyed, but all were damaged and disabled. "This is impossible," Vexicor snarled. "No species could develop such technology so quickly. We've conquered civilizations thousands of years older than humanity." Zulthar looked up from his instruments. "Commander, I don't think the humans developed this technology. I think they found it." In Lunar Command, Admiral Garcia and General Williams watched the battle unfold on their screens. "It's working," Williams said, his voice filled with wonder. "The Omega Protocol is actually working." "Did you doubt it would?" Garcia asked. "Honestly, yes. The Corps' technology seemed too advanced, too perfect, like it was designed specifically to counter threats like the Zarkonians." Garcia's expression grew thoughtful. "Perhaps it was." On the battlefield, the 5 human ships continued their devastating attack. The Guardian, commanded by Captain Oliver Young, demonstrated its remarkable self-repair capabilities. When a lucky shot from a Zarkonian dreadnought struck its hull, the damage sealed itself almost instantly, nanomachines rebuilding the structure faster than it could be destroyed. "Target their flagship," Jack ordered. "All ships converging attack." The 5 UEDF vessels moved into a new formation, surrounding Vexicor's command ship. Each human vessel fired different weapons, creating a symphony of destruction that overwhelmed the Zarkonian defenses. "Our shields are failing," a Zarkonian officer reported. Vexicor could not believe what was happening. His mighty armada, the pride of the Zarkonian Empire, was being decimated by what had appeared to be 5 insignificant ships. More than 100 of his vessels were now disabled or destroyed, while the human ships remained virtually untouched. "Supreme Commander," Zulthar said urgently, "we must retreat. We cannot win this battle." Retreat? Vexcor hissed. The Zarkonian Empire does not retreat. Then the Zarkonian Empire will fall today, Zulthar replied softly. Jack watched as the Zarkonian ships began to break formation, some turning to flee while others continued fighting. They're losing cohesion, Lisa reported. Their fleet is starting to scatter. Good, Jack said. Dr. Powell, open a channel to their flagship. The main screen flickered to life, showing Vexcor's rage-filled face. Supreme Commander, Jack said, calmly. I'm offering you one chance to surrender. Order your remaining ships to stand down and we will spare them. Never, Vexcor snarled. I would rather die than surrender to primitives like you. We're not the primitives you thought we were, Jack replied. And this isn't the tiny fleet you mocked. This is humanity's true strength. Last chance, Commander. For a moment, Vexcor seemed to waver. Then his face hardened. All ships, attack, for the glory of the Empire. Jack sighed and closed the channel. He's made his choice. All ships, execute. Final attack pattern. Target their weapons and propulsion only. Let's try to minimize casualties. The 5 human vessels moved with perfect coordination, their advanced systems working in harmony. Drone swarms disabled more Zarkonian ships. Gravity weapons pulled others off course. AI fighters neutralized enemy craft with surgical precision. And through it all, the Defiant phased in and out of normal space, untouchable as it delivered precise strikes against key targets. In less than an hour, it was over. The mighty Zarkonian armada lay in ruins. None of their ships had been destroyed, but all were disabled, floating helplessly in space. Captain, Kevin reported. We're detecting escape pods launching from the Zarkonian flagship. Supreme Commander, Vexcor is abandoning ship. Jack nodded. Let him go. We're not here to execute anyone. He turned to Lisa. Status of the Zarkonian fleet? All vessels disabled or surrendered, Captain. No functioning weapons or propulsion systems remain. We've achieved total tactical victory. Jack removed the neural interface from his temple, feeling a moment of disorientation as his connection to the ship faded. Open a channel to Admiral Garcia, he ordered. Garcia's face appeared on the screen, her expression a mixture of relief and pride. Well done, Captain. The Omega Protocol has exceeded all expectations. What now, Admiral? Now, Garcia said, we show the galaxy who humanity really is. Not conquerors like the Zarkonians, but protectors, guardians. Jack looked out at the disabled Zarkonian fleet. And what about them? We'll offer terms, fair ones, and then we'll contact the worlds they've conquered. It's time for the galaxy to learn that humanity isn't the weak, primitive species they thought we were. No, Jack agreed. We're something much more dangerous. We're humans who learned to hide our strength until it was needed. As the human ships began securing the battlefield, a small Zarkonian shuttle escaped into deep space. Inside, Supreme Commander Vexcor sat alone, his empire crumbling around him. They tricked us, he whispered. Their tiny fleet, it was never tiny at all. And somewhere in the vastness of space, something was watching, waiting. The test had been passed. Humanity had proven worthy of the gifts they had been given. The next phase could begin. 1 week after the battle, Captain Jack Morris stood in the observation lounge of the Defiant, watching as ships from a dozen different alien species gathered around Earth. Not as invaders, but as diplomats, refugees, and allies. Quite a change. From last week, Commander Lisa Wright said as she joined him by the viewport. Jack nodded. Amazing how quickly the galaxy's view of humanity shifted once word spread about our victory over the Zarkonians. Fear will do that, Lisa replied. Though, I prefer to think they're here out of respect, not fear. Let's hope so. The door slid open and Lieutenant Samantha Taylor entered. Captain, Admiral Garcia is requesting your presence at the diplomatic reception. The representatives from the Proxima Alliance have arrived. Jack straightened his dress uniform. Time to play diplomat again. In the grand hall of the newly constructed Galactic Relations Center in Geneva, Admiral Nancy Garcia greeted ambassadors from worlds that, until recently, hadn't known humans existed. The room buzzed with different languages, translated smoothly by devices developed using technology from the core. "Admiral Garcia," called a voice. "A moment of your time?" She turned to see Ambassador Linda Nelson approaching with a tall, willowy alien whose skin shimmered with bioluminescent patterns. "Admiral, may I present Envoy Trellis of the Proxima Alliance," Linda said. "They represent 17 systems that were oppressed by the Zarkonians." Garcia bowed slightly. "Envoy Trellis, welcome to Earth." "Thank you, Admiral." Trellis's voice was musical, with harmonics that human vocal cords couldn't produce. "My people have watched your species for some time. We were surprised by your victory." "Just surprised?" Garcia asked with a slight smile. Trellis's skin pulsed with colors that the translation device identified as indicating amusement. Perhaps astonished would be more accurate. The Zarkonians had conquered every civilization they encountered for centuries, yet humanity defeated them with just 5 ships. 5 very special ships, Garcia corrected. "And we had advantages the Zarkonians didn't know about." "Yes," Trellis said, their tone becoming serious. "The technology you found in Antarctica, the gift from the precursors." Garcia kept her expression neutral, but her heart raced. "I'm not sure what you mean, Envoy." "Please, Admiral. Among the Proxima worlds, there are legends about the precursors, an ancient race who seeded the galaxy with protective technologies, leaving them for worthy species to find." Trellis leaned closer. "We know what you found. We've been waiting for someone to use it successfully." In another part of the reception hall, Dr. Kevin Powell found himself cornered by a group of alien scientists, all eager to learn about human technology. "It's quite remarkable," said a reptilian scientist with feathered crests. "Your quantum phase shifting alone would have taken our civilization another 1,000 years to develop." Kevin adjusted his glasses nervously. "Well, we can't take full credit for that. We had help." "The Antarctic discovery," nodded the alien. "Yes, word has spread. But what's most impressive is how quickly humans adapted and improved upon the technology. Most species would have taken centuries to understand it. We're good at thinking outside the box," Kevin replied modestly. "Indeed, perhaps too good." The scientist's expression became thoughtful. "It makes one wonder if you were chosen." Meanwhile, in a secure meeting room below the reception hall, Captain Jack Morris sat across from Zarkonian envoy Kravix, who had been sent to negotiate surrender terms. "Your terms are surprisingly generous," Kravix said, studying the document before him. "No territorial concessions, no reparations. Just the release of all subjugated worlds and a non-aggression pact." "We're not interested in conquest," Jack explained, "or punishment. We want peace." "After what we tried to do to your world?" Kravix seemed confused. "Supreme Commander Vexcor would have reduced your planet to ash. And that's the difference between our species," Jack replied. "You conquer because you can. We defend because we must, but we don't seek revenge." Kravix was silent for a long moment. "The Zarkonian High Council has accepted your terms. They had little choice. But they've asked me to convey a question. Why did you hide your true strength? You could have revealed your technology and prevented this conflict entirely." Jack considered his answer carefully. "Would you have believed us? Or would you have seen it as a bluff from a primitive species?" "Perhaps not," Kravix admitted. "But now the galaxy knows of your power. You will never be underestimated again." "That remains to be seen." Deep beneath the lunar surface, Dr. Alan Miller worked frantically in his laboratory. The core sat on a pedestal in the center of the room, its surface now covered with glowing symbols that hadn't been visible before. "It's changing," he told General Peter Williams, who watched from a safe distance. "Ever since the battle, new information has been appearing. New technologies, new warnings." "Warnings about what?" Williams asked. Miller pointed to a series of symbols. "I'm still translating, but it seems to be about something called the convergence, an event or perhaps an entity, something that the precursors The beings who left us the core were fleeing from. Are you saying there's another threat out there? Worse than the Zarkonians? I don't know. But I think the core was left for us to find for a reason. The technology it gave us wasn't just to defeat the Zarkonians. It was to prepare us for something else. 3 months after the battle, Earth had become the center of a new galactic alliance. Worlds formerly under Zarkonian control now looked to humanity for leadership and protection. The 5 ships that had defeated the mighty Armada were now the core of a growing fleet, as more vessels were constructed using the advanced technology. Captain Jack Morris stood on the bridge of the newly upgraded Defiant, preparing for its first mission since the battle. "All systems ready, Captain," reported Lieutenant Eric Johnson from the helm. "New neural interfaces functioning at optimal levels," added Dr. Powell. Commander Wright approached Jack with a data tablet. "Final mission parameters from Admiral Garcia. We're to explore the region beyond the Perseus Arm. Uncharted space." Jack nodded. "Any particular reason we're heading that way?" The Corps provided coordinates. "Dr. Miller thinks we might find more precursor technology there, or perhaps answers about this convergence they've been worried about." As the Defiant prepared to depart, Jack received one final communication from Earth. Admiral Garcia's face appeared on the screen. "Captain, I wanted to wish you good luck personally. This mission may be the most important one humanity has ever undertaken." "Thank you, Admiral. We won't let you down." Garcia's expression became serious. "Jack, there's something else. We've detected unusual energy signatures from the location the Corps is directing you to. Similar to the core itself, but much larger. Another artifact? Perhaps. Or something else entirely." The Proxima Alliance representative seemed concerned when we mentioned the coordinates. "They know something they're not telling us." Jack absorbed this information. "We'll proceed with caution. Godspeed, Captain." Earth out. As the Defiant moved away from Earth, its advanced engines propelling it faster than any human vessel had traveled before, Jack stood at the viewport in his ready room. The stars stretched before him, countless worlds waiting to be discovered. His neural interface hummed quietly, connecting him to the ship. Through it, he sensed something at the edge of perception. A presence, vast and ancient, watching, waiting. Then a message appeared in his mind. Not in words, but in concepts and images that his brain translated into understanding. "The first test is complete. Prepare for what comes next." Jack didn't know if the message came from the core, from the mysterious precursors, or from something else entirely. But he knew that humanity's journey had only just begun. The galaxy had mocked humanity's tiny fleet and learned a harsh lesson. Whatever challenges lay ahead, humanity would face them as they had faced the Zarkonians, with courage, ingenuity, and the determination that had defined their species since they first looked up at the stars and dreamed of reaching them. As the Eon Defiant jumped to faster-than-light speed, Jack gave the order that would carry humanity into its new role in the galaxy. "Take us beyond the known, Mr. Johnson. Let's see what's waiting for us out there." The ship surged forward into the unknown, carrying with it humanity's hopes, fears, and endless curiosity. Behind them, Earth stood protected. Before them, infinite possibilities awaited. The once mocked tiny fleet had become the vanguard of a new era, an era where humanity would no longer hide its strength, but use it to protect, to explore, and to discover the truths that the universe had kept hidden for so long. The journey had only just begun.